Well, our thanks to Nancy Cordes for that report. Let's bring in Eliza Collins. She's a congressional reporter for USA Today, and she joins me now from the Hill. So, Eliza, how seriously are GOP lawmakers and aides taking this threat from Steve Bannon?
They're taking it pretty seriously because they know that Steve Bannon has Breitbart, and Breitbart caters to, the Republican base, not the whole Republican base, but sort of that far right people that Republicans do need to vote for them. He also has a lot of money. He is teamed up with the Mercer family, which helped pour money into Trump's election. So I think there's money and there's a base that will listen to Bannon over someone like Mitch McConnell or Paul Ryan. So I think they're taking it very seriously.
Eliza, is there a chance that we could be overrating the amount of influence someone like Steve Bannon has on these races? I'm specifically thinking about 2010, Sharon Angle, Christine O'Donnell. They weren't able to gain any real traction. Or is there a real reason to fear the clout that he has at Breitbart?
Well, I think they have the power in the primary, So the primary, if they get a really conservative candidate, let's talk about a state like Nevada, Danny Tarkanian is very conservative. He's aligned with Trump. Bannon is kind of rumored to be backing him. If he can get Tarkanian through the primary, that could be a real problem for the GOP in the general, because Nevada is deeply purple. It's a state that Hillary Clinton won. They sent the first Latina senator in 2016. So Tarkanian has less of a chance of winning a general than maybe someone like Dean Heller, even with all of his missteps. So things like that, I think Bannon is very influential in a primary, maybe less so in a general.
And let me ask you about this. In that interview with Charlie Rose, Mr. Bannon also expressed concerns that Republicans could lose the House as a result of the president's decision on DACA. Is that something that you're hearing from Republicans on Capitol Hill as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons Republicans are concerned about losing the House, starting with the fact that multiple Republicans in kind of moderate districts are now announcing retirement. But DACA is a deeply personal issue for the Hispanic community, and it's also growing. A lot of religious groups now that do vote for Republicans are coming out. We saw the Pope saying, you need a solution to this. So reliable Republican voters are sympathizing with the Dreamers. And so Republicans are concerned about how this is handled, and it's putting them in a really tough spot, because you do have kind of hardliners calling for a wall or border enhancements and maybe not wanting to offer protections to Dreamers, and then you have moderates, someone like Mike Kaufman, who's saying, look, I'll buck my party on this and go with Democrats. He told me yesterday he's willing to sign on to a procedure Democrats are doing to try to force this legislation to come to the floor. So it's sort of dividing the party, which is what Bannon had said, and divisions in the party are never good when you're coming up on an election.
And what are you hearing about the assertion by Mr. Bannon to Charlie on 60 Minutes that he says that the firing of James Comey was the biggest mistake in modern political history? I mean, Bannon was an advisor or strategist to the president. How can he sort of say that?
That was an interesting comment, because so much of the interview was him defending President Trump and so closely aligned with him. I mean, we saw the White House pushing back on that, right? Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, I'm sure it made for good TV. Over on the Hill, I think that a lot of lawmakers do feel like, maybe not in modern political history, but they do feel like it was a big mistake and it put them in a tough spot. And so I think that while they're not going to outright say they agree, I think there is some sort of agreement in that it was an issue.
Finally, Eliza, the president is expected to host a bipartisan group of senators for dinner at the White House tonight. And you actually talked to a spokesperson for one of the Democrats on the guest list. What did they tell you?
I did. So Senator Joe Manchin's spokesman basically told me that he thinks it's about tax reform. He's assuming it's about tax reform, but they haven't gotten any real instructions on that. And so, that's a little bit awkward if they're going into a meeting not even knowing what the agenda is. It brings questions about how hard the White House is pushing on this.
All right. Eliza Collins of USA Today. Always good to talk to you, Eliza. Thank you.
Thank you.